Hey guys, here's another requested video from Evolve. Thanks, keep the questions coming. Evolve asked me about past perfect continuous, and that just follows the form had been plus verb ing. So I had been doing. This is not so commonly used, I rarely use past perfect continuous unless I'm telling some kind of story or something like that, but I know many of my students, you guys have English tests and homework and you got to do it, so good luck. So the first part, I'm just going to go through the three reasons I think we use past perfect continuous, and then maybe I'll erase the whiteboard and explain a little bit about present perfect continuous and how those things are different, or past perfect simple, or whatever. So stay tuned, watch, and if you have any questions, comment below. All right, so this is a little bit confusing because past perfect is like the past, right? So I always kind of say, if I have some space, I always kind of say like A, B, and then this is now, which sometimes I call C, right? Sometimes I call C, so C is now, right? So here we're talking about like A and B's relationship, right? So this is past perfect is the past, right? So past perfect continuous is what had been happening before another past action. So before another past action. So when I give you the examples, try to keep this timeline. In mind. So it had been raining for 2 hours when I left. It had been raining for 2 hours when I left. So anytime that we use ing, it's going to be a continuous action. It's going to happen over a long period of time. So in this case, we're talking about unfinished past actions. So if we continue with this A, B, C, right? If this is A, all right, and we take this red and it's raining, right? And then I left, right? It was raining when I left. So at B is when I left, right? And now this is now, right? So this story can be 1 year ago, it can be this morning, it can be yesterday or last week. It's finished, it's in the past, but it's what had been happening before another action happened. So I know that's really complicated, but if you look at this, the red, right, it had been raining for 2 hours before I left. So it had been raining for 2 hours before I left, right? So because it's unfinished, probably it continued to rain after I left. Probably it continued to rain after I left. I'm not sure, but this sentence tells me that it's unfinished, So just like present perfect continuous, I can say, I've been teaching for 14 years, right? I have been teaching. This is present. I have been teaching for 14 years. I'm teaching now. I'm going to teach tomorrow. So that's why we say I have been teaching for 14 years. Now, if I change this AB and I change this to 2016, so now is 2021, right? So in 2016, I had been teaching for 9 years. If you do the math, right? So 2021, 2016, okay, that's 5, okay, 14 minus 5 is 9. Okay, now is a math class, all right? But I had been teaching for 9 years. It's not finished. I continue to teach in the future, okay? I continued to teach in the future. So let me this is a little different from our videos because I usually just try to write it on the whiteboard one time. And then, make it pretty and neat. But today we can be a little bit more messy, all right? So I can say in 2016 or by 2016, right? I had been teaching for, what was it, 9 years, right? I had been teaching for 9 years, okay? So just again, I started teaching in 2006, okay? So in 2000, okay, let's say 2016, okay, it's fine. But that's 10 years, I understand. And then this is now, right? So I can say in 2016, I had been teaching for, let's change that. Too long, I've been teaching for 10 years, right? But I can say, if I want to use present perfect continuous, right? I have been teaching. I have been teaching for 14 years or 15 years. Now is 2021, right? So that's an unfinished action now. But here we're talking about an unfinished action in the past. So that's kind of the difference there. And that is confusing, I know, and that's why we kind of only use this when we're telling a story or when we're giving some information about that. Okay, so here we go. Next part is focus on the activity of a past repeated action. Oh my God, that is really hard to say. All right, but focus on the activity. Focus on the activity of a past repeated action. So here I'm going to ask the question, how long? Okay, so I'm going to ask the question, how long I had been doing something. Okay, how long I had been doing something. All right, so maybe I fell asleep and I say, oh, I don't know what happened. I had been reading for a few hours. Okay, how long? For a few hours when I fell asleep. I had been reading for a few hours when I fell asleep. So we look at the timeline again, right? A is when I started reading, and B is when I fell asleep. So I had been reading, that's a continuous action, and B is when I fell asleep. B is when I fell asleep. So we're focused on the activity. We're focused on the activity of that past repeated because it's continuous action. Okay? And the last reason, this one is pretty easy, I think. The last reason is recently completed past repeated actions. Now, sounds very similar to this, but this action is completed, right? Similar to this, but here's the focus is different. So I can say, I had been cutting onions, cutting, for ages, okay, for a long time, or I had been cutting onions, okay, that's actually not important. I had been cutting onions before I realized it was supposed to be garlic, right? So before I realized it was supposed to be garlic. So cutting onions, cutting onions, cutting onions, cutting onions. Important, we can see the result. We can see the result of this repeated action. I can see a lot of onions, right? I'd been cutting onions, cutting onions, cutting onions, cutting onions. Oh, it's garlic, not onions, right? So I made a mistake. So all of these are very similar. They just have a different focus or a different reason why we use that. And often with my students, I don't spend too much time on past perfect continuous because it's not so common and it's not what we use when we're speaking English. But again, you guys have tests, you guys have things that you have to do. So no choice, you have to learn the rules. So there you go, Evolve. Again, thank you so much for watching. Any more questions, please comment below. And if you guys like this video, subscribe because I have like many more. And Mark has a lot and ULC has a lot. So like us, share us, and thanks for watching.